2025 seems to be a year of letting go of stuff, life, I'm not sure what, identity, but I don't want to do it without doing this thing that is honoring the path this one me has done. And I have a picture here that I don't have many pictures here in the United States. This was first day of school, and by then the direction has been set, the pathways were in, the damage, basically the damage had been done. And most of the direction was set at the, pre-verbal level in early infancy. And then again, when I was 3, major trauma. But from here on, it was just like, well, what is this whole life about? Why am I so different? Why don't I ever fit in? And so I tried to study. And mind you, in the middle of last century, there was no internet. There was no internet, until about 2000, And so even in the libraries, they didn't have anything. And forget about, all this PTSD and the trauma, and none of that was available. Okay. So I had some books, and I'm going to get rid of them. I'm going to let them go. And I'm going to just go through what I had. The first one is still in German, because that's where I grew up. Psychoanalysis and Ethics. I don't remember any of it, but I still have it, and there's no point bringing this to the local American thrift store. Nobody would want it. So when I first left home, I decided I just needed to live. Okay, so the reason I didn't kill myself, I'll tell you a story. When I was 16, living in Germany, I got up one day to go to school, and I had just gotten out of bed and was, walking next to my desk, and it was like some sort of energetic bolt of something came in through my head into my body, and I didn't hear any voices, but it was just the absolute knowing that I would not kill myself. I didn't know what that was about because I hadn't consciously thought about that. But I can't even tell you how many times in my life I remembered that, and how I came up with 2 ways by which I could kill myself and nobody would know except me. And so I didn't do that either. But this sense of something wrong, not fitting in, this whole thing just being like 100% pain and separation and aloneness all the time, I figured there are other people walking around that don't have to deal with all of this. So maybe, I wanted to find out. So then I studied medicine. I became a doctor for infants, at the time not knowing that I was just trying to heal my own infant. But I had immigrated to the United States because staying in Germany was not possible for whole other reasons. And so when you renew your license in the United States, at least it used to be like that when I was still in the field, they had a thing like, have you ever been treated for any mental illness and depression, and are you taking any medication? Are you in, that sort of thing? And I'm like, I know I need something. I know I need some kind of therapy. I know what I feel. I know how I feel. But I am not going to do that if I have to declare it. I mean, that's just was not an option. But then, I had to go back to Germany for a couple of years. Then I came back. And when I was working on the Eastern Shore, I met somebody and he had this book, about the Barbara Brennan School of Healing, and I went to healing school, and they said, if you are in this program, you need support that is more than your family and friends can give you, and you need to be in therapy a minimum of X number of times a month, And so I said, Yahoo, now I can be in therapy. I don't have to declare it. And I was very happy. I was in very unconventional therapy. And here is one of the books, and this is where the books come in. Because I was with somebody who was trained in the pathwork. And pathwork was established by Eva and John Pierrakos, and the core energetics was part of it, energetics. Here's another book, Language of the Body, that I found very good, by Alexander Lowen. But I think that I'm going to get rid of that. Bioenergetics. It's influenced with the core energetics, I would imagine. But anyway, here we're back to Fear No Evil, the Pathwork Method of Transforming the Lower Self, by Eva Pierrakos and Donovan Thasenga. I loved that book. The Undefended Self, by Susan. The Pathwork of Self-Transformation, Eva Pierrakos. Eros, Love, and Sexuality. And who is that by? John Pierrakos. I met him once in his 80s. He had more energy than anybody else in the room. I did also do a number of workshops with Susan and Donovan at the Pathwork in Virginia. Surrender to God Within, Eva Pierrakos and Donovan Thasenga. So that's my first exposure to working on self, finding out what the fuck is going on. And I'm not sure yet how many of those books I'm going to let go, how soon. But while I was in therapy, I also read The Drama of the Gifted Child, The Search for the Truth of Alice Miller's pretty famous book. I'm probably going to get The Difficult Child and Issues, Boundary and Space, really good. I'm not sure when and how many and how soon they're going to go. But while I was in therapy during the Barbara Brennan School of Healing time, I read psychotherapy books. This is really good, Characterological Transformation by Stephen Johnson. And see, he has position, I underlined a bunch of stuff, so it might be a hard sell, but I'm probably going to give it away anyway. Let's see. Is this the one? Yeah. It always had to do with body. This chapter is Healing the Abandoned Child. And all these traumas leave imprints in your body, and it's true. It's totally true. So humanizing the narcissistic style. Unfortunately, I put my name in this, and also, worked it. I learned a bunch from this while I was in therapy. Because the whole thing about transference and countertransference. I studied that. Some of my books already went to the store. The Art of Psychotherapy. This guy was good. Really good. And I just read, Therapist, Presence, Alliance, and it's like, and then the transference, and it's like, I wanted to know what the fuck was going on. Intimate Journeys, this is the same guy, Bugental, where he actually, there are examples of therapies in this. Really fascinating, really interesting. And I think I'm done with that. I'm done with the therapy thing. Here's one, meeting the shadow. And you all, probably you have heard about, shadow work, Basically, shadow is anything that you're not conscious of. It could be a golden shadow or a dark shadow. I don't know that I ever did fully read this, and I'm not sure I ever will. I've done a whole lot of shadow work, so that's probably going to go one of these soonest. Clinical applications of the polyvagal theory. This is a newer one. Porges and Dana editors. Well, I'm probably not going to read this. And so while I was in the Barbara Brennan School, I did, the one type of therapy. And of course, the Barbara Brennan School was a 4-year program where you delve deeply into this self and other and self and divine and character formation and all that. After the Barbara Brennan School, I basically finished that level of therapy. I had 2 therapists. One was it was a woman by phone for 3 years, and then Marlene, and then somebody who trained in the path work. After the Barbara Brennan School, I did therapy with one of the teachers I had met there, which I adored and had total transference with, I guess. I don't know what the deal was, really. It was very challenging work. I met her in person 5 times a year in Boulder, and then on the phone. She would only do half-hour sessions. We did that like once or twice a week, once a week or once every other week. I don't remember. And that was really good. The reason I was in Boulder from the East Coast is because I had decided I was going to do this body-centered psychotherapy called Hakomi. Wonderful program, wonderful people. I learned a lot. So in that combination, it's like I studied the energy healing and this, and there was like, when I was done with that, there was a new level of something that needed to emerge. I don't know what book here that, meanwhile, focusing was something I looked into, as well as family constellation with Bert Hellinger, like the Hellinger work. I only witnessed that work during a workshop in Omega once. There were other treatment things and workshops that I did during that time. Then I left my old life totally after I was done with the school and the Hakomi training, and I was working as a physician still. And I just moved across the country and joined a spiritual community. And then I did not read any books for about 15 years or something. I wrote my own. And then I got so run down in 2016. I was at the bottom of something and needed to reassess what I do. Meanwhile, more things were coming online, and more things came online So then in 2018, after doing some healing classes, I wrote my own book. I cared for this bird, and when that bird died, it was traumatic. I mean, the circumstances and how it died and the circumstances involved in my state The next day, when I realized that little bird had died, because she was already living outside, I wanted to die again. And I was walking in the hallway and found myself looking at myself for a brief moment, like really out of body. And also, while that was happening, I saw from my early infancy, all through childhood, all the influences that formed my character and my way of being, and the conclusions. I mean, it was like, oh my God, none of that needed to happen. Something happened, and then I just made some conclusions about everything, and things got formed in certain ways, and it was just horrendous. And at the same time, absolutely freeing. And then from 2018 to 2024, I just got this energy burst. I became a health coach. I became a woman-centered coach. I studied with people online in terms of trauma and meditation and this and that. And that's not even part of this whole thing. But this series of books is from that time. The Body Keeps the Score. Healing into Life and Death. Actually, that might have been earlier. Waking the Tiger. And also Women of Wisdom, Sultram Alioni, where I learned about the feeding the demons. These books probably will go. I'm not going to reread them. I know about the body. I know what happens. And it's all these people have done such great contributions. Doesn't matter which one of these it is. I am grateful for all of them. Okay? And I'm going to have to pick at least half to send away in this second round of letting go. But I did want to honor her of all the work she did to have some semblance of healthy beingness, aware beingness, integratedness, having faced like the incredible hate and anger and loneliness and sadness and meanness and also because of what happened really early on, part of me never ever got conditioned by any of it because I wasn't there to be conditioned. And so integrating that free part, that has just all this energy and joy and light and all that also needed to be integrated. And by now, I'm like closer to 70 than 60. It took me all my life. And now I'm letting go of everything. But I do want to honor her. I wanted to honor her before I let go of all these parts of my life. And the kind of work she did and the kind of things she had to feel and the kind of things she had to do without. And obviously there were redeeming features. But also when I was leaving high school to go study medicine, I knew I had an addictive personality and that I should never take any drugs that were addicting because at the time I knew I had nothing to live for that would prompt me to want to no longer be addicted, and I would have just died. But so I didn't. I also didn't read any books on purpose because I hadn't lived at all. And I also decided I wasn't going to join any groups of any kind until I had my own life experience because I was just too vulnerable. So, anyway, nice job, sweetie. And I'm sorry what happened. But we also know all the good things that happened. I love you. I am sorry. I love you. Waking the Tiger, Healing Trauma by Peter A. Levine. There's a thing here. The impact of trauma may not be fully conscious, but it certainly is fully active. In an insidious way, trauma contributes to the motives and drives of our behavior. And further up it says, the trauma symptoms have a physical basis, but by the time their development has reached the last turn in its downward spiral, they will be not only affecting, but actually driving the mental aspects of our experience as well. What is most frightening is that a large portion of this impact will remain unconscious. Here's another one. All humans who are repeatedly overwhelmed become identified with states of anxiety and helplessness. In addition, they bring this helplessness to many other situations that are perceived as threats. They make the decision that they are helpless and continue in many varied ways to prove this victimization to themselves and others. They give in to the helpless feelings even in situations that they have the resources to master. And so on. It's incredibly helpful. Here's a thing about delayed trauma reactions, brain and memory. It's incredibly good books. And so much is out there now. And available. And yes, it is good to work with somebody if you can find somebody that is good and that you can trust. I wish you well. Have a good life, no matter what happens. Be blessed always. And when I say I'm done with it, like the healing and the therapy thing, and it's not like there isn't more things to learn or there isn't a deeper way of understanding or whatnot. It's not like there's an endpoint. It's just that I'm done reading books and studying healing and doing workshops in that regard. Or at least it feels done. I am drawn to something else. I don't think it was useless. And more work of what they call shadow work is probably needed forever, at least in realms like these. And so when I say I'm done with it, is that in this lifetime, I don't see myself studying these things anymore. My focus is in a different direction. But that doesn't mean I don't appreciate or love the books and the workshops and the work, and that it wasn't necessary or useful. It's just that my need is for something different. In a certain kind of way, I am done with it. I am done with the activism. I'm done with the animal save. I'm in certain kind of way, I'm done with it. Even as my care seems to increase, like for the animals and the garden. But I'm done with it. I need to be done with it. I'm done with it. And I'm letting it go with gratitude and appreciation. It's kind of like an honorable discharge.